Hello, and welcome to Tuesday Talks with Mom. I'm Tara Myers, and I am so glad you're here. As part of Moms on a Mission, we're empowering moms across the country to stand up and advocate for their children's educational freedom. As a mom of an adult son with Down syndrome, I've walked this road, navigating the school system and fighting for the right to choose the best education for my child. And now I'm here to share that journey with you. Every 2 weeks, we'll sit down with different moms from around the country and provide thoughtful advice and share our experiences. Together, we're building a community of moms who are finding their voices, taking action, and making a difference. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with Mom. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning again for another episode of Tuesday Talks with Mom. I am so excited that you joined us because tonight I have Valeria Gurr, a senior fellow with American Federation for Children, joining me to discuss all things school choice. Valeria, welcome.
Thank you, Tara, for having me. Super excited to be here with you today and all the work that you have been doing for years across the country. Thank you for that too.
Well, it's great. It's nice being in the trenches with a fellow mom. And I would love for you to share just a little bit about your personal journey with school choice and what brought you to this platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came from Chile in my late 20s. And one of the reasons that I came to the United States was because I wanted to go to grad school and pursue higher education, higher ed. And when I had, after I graduated from grad school, I started visiting the schools and I realized that some of the journeys that I experienced in my own home country were the same ones in the US. And like even my own personal experience, like growing up, my mother was sent to work at 9 years old as a maid, and she didn't know how to read or write. And she always taught me that education is the only way out of poverty, and the only way out to actually be somebody or fight for kids. And she never had a voice. She never was able to escape that situation simply because she didn't have access to a quality education. And you hear here in the US the statistics, you look at the NAPA scores, you see that kids are passed grade to grade. They're not taught sometimes basic education, how to read, how to write. And without that, they just keep passing and not being prepared. So I feel like this mission is so important, and it's, be honest, and dear to my heart. Seeing families and seeing students getting ahead in life and being able to provide for their families and to find happiness.
I love it. Wow. And kudos to your mom. That's awesome. I too, was sparked on by the fact that what I experienced as a child, it was just get through the grades. And I wanted more for my children. And I thought, educating your children shouldn't be somebody else's job. It should be a collaboration. And the problem that I experienced was walking into the schools and finding out that they didn't want me there. Not necessarily the teachers, but the administration. It was go home and let us do what we do. And I thought, how in the world can a teacher adequately address all of these issues without having supports and without having the parents there to help make sure that all of the children in the classroom were going to be able to carry over whatever it was that they were teaching day to day. So, kind of once you can't sit back down, I think you would agree. And
And there's so many issues in the system itself. Like we have to work, and this is what I love school choice, because empowers families to make what is the right decisions for them. So, for
Yes.
example, in my household, and learning from my own experience that, like I had to go to a public school and experience bullying and be left behind. Like, so when you get to high school, the only thing I thought, I was just like, I'm just simply not as smart. I'm just not as smart. I'm not college material. And you see a lot of kids or like students, they feel the same way. That hasn't changed in my state. Like chronic absenteeism is up to 30%.
Oh my gosh.
So kids are not going to school simply because like what I experienced wasn't new. And at the time I was like, I'm the only one. I'm the only one. And
Right.
because my mom doesn't have an education. And it's not the case. Like we're seeing some of the same issues that I was seeing 20 years ago. I still see them in the classroom today. And I think school choice is a way to address those issues by allowing families to exit when it doesn't serve. And I'm not saying that is always that's the case. There is
Yeah.
excellent education in some places, but the reality is that when I hear from communities and particularly lower income areas, families are trapped in a system that in many different cases is not able to serve like 30 students or 40 students in the classroom.
Right.
And like what you say, Tara, like keeping parents out of the classrooms, like with not a voice, is just not the way to go. And that's why I love this choice that I have. I hear from the teacher, she, like she has a classroom of 14 kids where
Wow.
my son goes to. So she's able to help him so much more than he would have been able to, like the help that he would be able to get in the traditional public school.
Yes, and it creates a smaller community and also frees up. I think the thing about choice is sometimes is given a bad name in the fact that they're like, well, you're taking these kids out of the public school. But again, if their needs are not being met, parents are the ones that should be making that decision. And by creating, smaller, I love the micro school and the learning pods, a smaller environment. If that's what works for the child, we shouldn't be concerned about anything else. The family, the child, is the most important thing. And I think we can both attest to that from our own personal experience, but also looking ahead at what opportunities are now available for so many new states. Now,
Yes.
I know that you have been in Idaho, and Idaho families should be so excited because up and coming is an enrollment date coming up, and I can't wait for you to tell just a little bit about what is going on in Idaho.
Yes. So for a long time, families have been fighting for a school choice in Idaho, and now they have a program, the one that you have in the screen, the
Yes.
Idaho Parental Choice Tax Credit, and it just as it sounds is a tax credit program that provide families between $5,000 to $7,500 to be able to access to an education of their choice. And this is super exciting. Like next week, families are gonna already be able to start applying. We anticipate a lot of families are going to be applying. So families need to know what they need to know right now is to make sure that they understand that they have to have a couple of steps done prior to the application. One is to create a TAP account.
Okay.
And like you see in the screen, just go to myschoolchoice.idaho.gov to learn more about the program and to see all the steps that you have to take to apply. So first step, have your taxes ready to go. I'm sure most families already have that. And have create a TAP account, and the TAP account can take between 1 day to 2 weeks. So like
Oh, okay.
don't panic between that, but just know that the application window is from January 15 to March 15. So and families,
Sooner than later.
yeah, sooner than
Yes.
later. So I always recommend, and there's no way to know what is going to happen the day of the application, obviously.
Right.
But I always tell families, like, just be ready for the day that the application opens, so you make sure that you get on the system immediately and are able to access to these funds. And there is up to 50 million in state funds
Okay.
available for qualifying families to be able to access. And this program, look, you can, and I want to read a couple of the qualifying expenses. So you
Sure.
can you can use it for a private school of your choice, but you can also use it for advanced placement exams, for base curriculum, for core subjects like, let's say you're homeschooling, for college admission tests, um, national, and we see it in the screen. So here are all the qualifying expenses that you can have: transportation costs, textbooks for core subjects, tutoring. So like it is really looking
Yes.
to change the education landscape in Idaho, and families are really excited. I've been going to the ground, like you mentioned, and
Yep.
and helping and
Yes.
helping with events. So I receive so many different questions. Like families are like, "Can we use this for this? How can we?" So because the
Right.
reality is that this state has been waiting for a
Yes.
program like this for a very long time. And if you look at the NAPA scores, you will see that like even when Idaho is above in comparison in their NAPA scores in comparison with other states,
Hmm.
their public schools are better than other states. You still look at the data, and only 41% of fourth graders are proficient in math and 32 are proficient in reading. And this is a state that performs better than others. So
Yeah.
this program is really, really exciting for families, particularly for those that have been trapped in a system that is not helping their kids. So we are excited. I hope everybody applies. I hope everybody learns more. And this is gonna in a couple of years, like you're gonna see these numbers even changing. I would think, because I believe that competition helps students and help the schools thrive.
Yes. That is wonderful, Valeria. That's great. And those of you that are listening, and Idaho is your state, like Valeria said, don't panic, but be prepared. Being a parent that took advantage of a new scholarship program, I did exactly what Valeria suggested. I made sure that whatever documents, so visit the website, get your list down of what documents you need and get them ready. You may have to upload them. If you don't have access to uploading them yourself, you can go to your library. Oftentimes they'll do scanning for you and help you with that. And make sure that you have your little folder. I tell everybody, save them on your computer. If you don't have that access, always back up with a paper copy. I covered all the bases because I wanted to be that mom with her child first in line. But don't panic. You don't have to stress over it, because they give you that window because they know that it's going to take a little bit of time. But this is really, I don't want to say a gift, but essentially it is. It's a nice little nugget that you have when you're needing options for your children. And if you're someone like me who needed options and thought this is never going to happen, well, Idaho, next week is your week, because it is happening. And I'm so excited for people like Valeria, who's on the ground and also being willing. Thank you, Valeria, for being willing to come and share these tips for parents to be able to get first in line, if you will, to have the inside edition on where do you go, what to do, what to look for. Is there anything else as far as like who would qualify? Are there any parameters in there that maybe parents might want to be on the lookout for?
So
Or is it everybody? Go ahead.
yeah, so everybody qualifies, but they give priority to 300% of the federal poverty line.
Okay.
So what I wanted to add back to, like, so I don't want to like I want just people to apply. Like, the thing to do is, like, don't start panicking with those numbers. Just
Right.
apply.
Right.
Get in the line, right?
Yes.
Like things can change with any new program too. People can apply and then decide
Yes.
not to use the funds. And if that happens, then you can be next on the line. But what I think is very important for families, based on what you just say, the library, one of the piece of advice that I want to mention is that the schools are very excited. They're very excited to welcome in new families. So your
Mhm.
first stop is go to the schools that you like been wanting to go. So,
Okay.
like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk to, like, the admissions in the school that you think that would be best. So, like, first, like, look what you have around you. Do a
Yes.
school visit. And like, I can talk in my own experience. Like, these things were terrifying for my mom, because she was like, I don't have the funds. I can't afford it.
Right.
It's be
Right.
embarrassing for me. Don't be afraid of doing that, because the schools are preparing to receive families and they
Yes.
want to welcome families. They're so excited. So they're preparing. We have done several, like, trainings with them and have conversations in how to help families to understand about the program. So they're preparing their admissions departments to be ready for families. So if you have questions, they're willing to help you. So,
That's
yeah.
no, that's great, because and sometimes by going to the school ahead of time and getting your interview done and finding information out, if you need additional funds, sometimes the school will let you know, hey, we have some additional financial aid here within the school too. So I think that that's a very beneficial piece, because you can make those connections early with the place that you would like to go and figure out what is their system and how do they work. And like you said, I love what you said about this. Things change. And so don't give up your opportunity to apply simply because you think you might not qualify or something. Go ahead and apply. It doesn't hurt to apply, right?
Yes, doesn't hurt to apply. And like, also is what you, like, when we talk about priority, like, so again, I mentioned everybody qualifies. They
Hmm.
get priority to 300 below the federal poverty line. And if I remember correctly, that's about 94,000 for a family of four. And let me pull out that in the screen.
Okay.
very quickly. Da, 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 da. Yeah, it's about 93,600 for a
Okay.
family of four. But that often like scares families. So it's where you take home. So like don't let that stop you.
Right.
Uh, like just apply, see what is going to happen. Like it can happen again. And the other piece is that sometimes people just doesn't know what that number is, and then they decide to completely like maybe I make too little, too much. I don't know. I don't like the only qualification it is like fill out your application and give it a try.
And I can attest to that. I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but for my daughters, the Ed Choice Scholarship here in Ohio, I applied 3 times and turned it down because I didn't think that we would qualify, and I didn't think that it could be real. And everyone said, "What?" And I said, "I know. I almost hesitate to admit that, but I want to admit it to let parents know. Don't let fear be your obstacle. That could have been the difference between a better program for my girls."
Yeah, and also like take your kids. Like
Yes.
sometimes like you hear I have a heavy accent. I can't hide it. But sometimes we let like the things that we think about ourselves to be the obstacle. So like take your kids, have them ask other questions. And the website that the website that Idaho has, like if we can put that on the screen again, this is like I never seen the my school choice idaho.gov. This website is very well done. So like they really care about implementing this program correctly in Idaho. I haven't seen a website like like that is this well done. It has all the resources, how to apply, and they're very responsive. So if you have questions, there is a little button that says contact us.
Oh, I love it.
So like make sure and you see there's a scroll down here too, in where you can see like select the different type of languages. So there is not an impediment. They're really trying to reach out to
Love
the
it.
family. um, and they have resources as well here. And let me see if I can open this. This looks a little bit better. So you can check
Oh, I love it.
you
That's
have
awesome.
your
Mhm.
checklist, file your taxes form. And if all that fails, you can find me on social media with my name. I'm very visible, Valeria Gurr. But I will put my email right here in the chat, and probably we can put it in the screen. Federation for Children. Org. So you like if all fails, you can email me and I will make sure I will get the answer for you. A lot of schools and families have been emailing me. And like the advantage that we have you have with me is I can help you in English or Spanish. So
I love it.
so like please like make sure that you don't let any obstacles stop you. We're anticipating there's a lot of momentum. Families are very excited, the schools are very excited. So I think it's going to be I think we're going to be surprised once the application windows opens and how many people are going to be applying for the program.
I love it. So let's go over those scholarship amounts again. You said, and I love the fact that there's a section for individuals with special needs. So you said that up to 500 that or 5,000. I'm sorry, 5,000 for students, and then up to 7,500 for students with disabilities.
Correct. So
Okay.
there's 50 million total, and
Okay.
it's up to 5,000 per eligible student, but it's
Okay.
a little bit more for children with a qualifying disability. And I think
Okay.
Tara, you can talk more on this on like
So generally, they need to have an IEP already be identified. So parents, those of you that have individuals with special needs, you're going to want to make sure that you have those documents along with your other application documents at the time that you place application, because you don't want to have a stumbling block. And if you're in a process where maybe those documents aren't finalized, usually if you check that contact us button on the Idaho website, they can give you further instructions as to whether or not you can upload like the date that your evaluation should be finished, or where you're at with that. Each state is a little bit different, but they'll walk you through how to do that. So I think that's very important, because sometimes those extra documents can deter families from feeling like they're ready to go. But really, I think it looks like Idaho, based upon this website, it looks like they've thought about just about everything.
Yes, no, I love their website. I can't stress that enough. I think it's very self-explanatory. You know, they give you all the steps, so it's not very that difficult to apply. It's actually quite simple, and they are very open to like reach out to families and want to help them. So like, don't be afraid to send them an email. They have also a phone number at the bottom here.
Oh, that's great.
You know, usually in my experience, like sometimes families like to talk to somebody.
Sure.
So you can use this phone number here to ask them more questions. But I recommend before you do that, like give it like read what is the program all about.
Yes.
Because you know, I have received questions that are like, can I use it for example, for pre-K? And the
Hmm.
program is to help families from K to 12.
Great. Okay.
And and it has like other uses, right? Like we saw for testing and other stuff like that, but mostly K to 12 is one of the main uses, and we want families to learn like what is, and they're gonna like, the other question parents ask, like, where should I apply? So like, you do have to do a little bit of your homework. You like, if you see, like, in my experience, when I see a school on the website, might look fantastic, but then I go and visit and maybe I don't feel this is the right fit. So like,
Right.
don't stop at just looking at the website, and like, go and make all those tours, so like, you know what the programs they offer, so you really get the education that you want to provide to to your kids. But if you're homeschooling as well, there's like different steps. I believe it covers for core, you know, like you have to have some proof for core programs. So let
Okay.
me go back to the qualifying expenses. So base curriculum that includes 4 core subjects at minimum.
Oh,
So
wow.
so like, you have to make sure that you understand how the program works completely. Um, so you're not going to be, for example, here they mention what doesn't qualify. So for families, important
Love
to know
it.
what qualifies and what it doesn't qualify.
Absolutely. And it really looks like it's a pretty flexible program. But like you said, you need to make sure that you understand the rules, and the application process of it, meaning what does apply, what doesn't apply. And that will make your life and your children's lives so much easier when you're going through this. One thing that I can say as a mom is that knowledge is power. And it looks like Idaho has really put in a significant amount of work making sure that parents are going to have the knowledge that they need in order to have the power to provide for their children. And I'm just so excited about this personally as a mom who's been there and walked through these hallways. I think it's going to be very exciting to see what door is open at the other end of the tunnel. Valeria, is there anything else that you would like to share with any families that may be watching for one last little clip before we go today?
Yeah, sometimes family asks me, like, how do I know if my choice is a good choice? I always tell them, like, there's no science to this, obviously,
That's right.
right? But one of the things that I pay attention as a mom, like, and I just want to give advice as a mom here. So, for example, my kid was going to a different school,
Hmm.
still a private school, but it was very rigid with their academics, and he is the wiggly guy.
Yep.
So he was getting in trouble a lot, and very early on, and he was already giving me signs that he wasn't motivated and he didn't want to go to school. So I early on realized, just like looking at them and seeing how they're feeling sometimes might be like
Yes.
one sign. Like if they're coming all with this and be clearly it's not working, but also like their motivation. So if you are like, defining quality is very subjective to depending on the family, right? But if you feel
Mhm.
like your kid is thriving, is doing okay, you have nothing to worry about. But if you as a mom have this like gut feeling that things are not going correctly, like please explore your options. Like, kids only get one chance at a good education, and we want them to feel secure, happy, and healthy to thrive for what is next for them.
I love it. And I can attest to that as well. I had 3 children and they each needed something a little bit different at different times in their educational journey. And it seemed overwhelming because Valeria, I'm sure like me, I went to one school from kindergarten through 12 and oftentimes it wasn't working, but my parents were like this is how it works. And so oftentimes my needs were not met, but what was really interesting is by paying attention like Valeria suggested, to those subtle cues that our kids will give us. It's not just about the grades. It's not just about the friendships. It could be a multitude of different things.
Mhm.
And really paying attention to those things, you'll be making the right choice at the right time. And do not feel bad if you have to change directions. That happens, and schooling now is different than years ago, and I think that that's a good thing because our children are different, and we have found that one size does not simply fit all.
Yeah.
So, Valeria, I thank you so much for coming on today, for sharing all of this wealth of information about the state of Idaho. And I really appreciate the work that the Idaho Department of Ed and everybody has gone together, putting together an AFC and all of the information that's out there for us. Families, do not be afraid to utilize the resources that are before you. You can contact Valeria. She's put her email up there. You can also contact me or any of our other Moms on a Mission team. And if you are a parent out there that has a story that you would like to share with us, don't be afraid to go to our AFC website and share on our Voices for Choice platform, because we would love to hear from you. Because Valeria and I both have taken our stories and helped other families, hundreds of thousands of families. Wouldn't you agree, Valeria?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and we want to help you help other families as well. So feel free to reach out to us at any of those channels that we've given you. And we look forward to hearing from you and seeing how many of you are able to make Idaho's opportunity available to yourself. Thank you so much. Thanks, Valeria.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.